Hi guys, and welcome to day 9 of the 25 sessions of Christmas series brought to you by Foundation Age Coaching. Today is a position play practice. Now last week we looked at a 2v2+2, which is how you can include groups of 6 players. This for me is the next step up. We add 2 players to the practice to turn it into a 3 versus 3 plus 2. Now compared to the 2v2+2, the setup of the practice is a little bit different. There's 3 defenders in the middle plus one of the jokers in the middle. You'll have a joker on the outside and then the other 3, the 3 in possession players covering the other 3 sides of the square. Now the idea of this is compared to the previous practice, which was a little bit more simple. They only had to worry, the players only had to worry about passes going left, right or through the middle. Now they've got a player in the central area also looking to occupy space and perhaps draw the attention of the 3 players who are defending. So if we look at the way this practice is set up, one of the coaching points that I personally like to use in here, because it's the way I like my centre midfielders to play in a 7v7, is I want the centre midfielder player occupying the space between the 3 defenders and just looking to draw those 3 players' attention. Now ideally what this will do, one of 2 things. It will draw all 3 players to that player in the middle, so it will allow the players on the outside to pass around the outside, i.e. pass around the opposition, or as the out of possession players go and try and win the ball or put pressure on the outside players, it then opens up space for that midfield player to just find a little gap, receive the ball inside and then pass back to the outside. Thus, that pass going into the midfielder is the one that draws the 3 defenders towards him and opens up space for the players on the outside. Ultimately, you're asking your players to either look to play around the opposition or play through them. As with other position play activities, if the defending team are able to win the ball, in this case it's the Blues, they pass to one of the greens, then they transition to the outside, they become the in possession team and the yellows then become the out of possession team. From a point scoring system, you can have number of passes, so for example 5 passes equals 1 point, or you can have any time that you play through the midfield player equals a point. So you're then challenging the players to look for those opportunities to create those openings to play into the midfield by initially playing around the outside of players. In terms of coaching points here, you look at things in terms of your body shape. Are you standing in a position where you can see the whole playing area? Are you looking to receive on the back foot so that it makes it easier to turn, but also to move the defenders, you can then disguise your intention? Are you scanning before you've received the pass so you can see where the defenders are, you can see where your teammates are? Are you able to play 1 touch? Are you able to play 2 touches? Do you have enough time to control the ball and bring the defenders towards you before passing the ball out? What angles of support are being created? Do we play a short pass? Do we play a long pass? And what are the factors that are happening that are going to help us make that decision? Now, one of the reasons I like these type of practices is because of that amount of outcomes that you can get out of it. Now I've tried to introduce this with my under 9s. I did a few weeks of 2v2+2 to begin with, and then for me this was the next logical step up, adding 2 extra players. I'm going to admit they struggled with it a little bit. I haven't gone back to it since, although I probably will do after our Christmas break, and I'll be a little bit more consistent with it in terms of trying to get them to understand the rules of it first before expecting the preferred technical outcomes to come out of it. One thing I have noticed from my players when they've done this particular practice in the past, they've actually you can see the improvements building up in terms of their passing and receiving skills, but also their decision making of when to play 1 touch, when to play 2 touch, and how to keep the ball away from 2 or 3 opponents. So as with the 2v2+2, one of the variations that you can use in this practice is to add goals behind 2 of the ends. The jokers then become the 2 outside players rather than the 2 middle players. If these are goalkeepers that you've got, even better. You can then start highlighting how the goalkeeper's got an opportunity to play into the midfield player, out to the wide player, out to the other wide player, or defenders if that's how you want to see it, so it mirrors playing out from the back. Again, there's that transitional element. If the team win the ball and they're close to the opposition goal, can they go and score? And can the in-possession players, after they lose the ball, transition quick enough to being out of possession and stopping the 3 players in the middle from scoring? If you want to vary it a little bit further, you can give a 5-second time limit to the team who win the ball to try and score. So if they can't shoot or score within 5 seconds, then they just have to pass it to one of the jokers and transition to being the in-possession team where they're looking to keep the ball away from the others. You may also want to build this into a small-sided game where you're using mini goals rather than bigger ones. It's 3v3+2 in the middle, so it's always a 5 versus 3 overload to the team in possession. This way you can look at triangles, you can look at the angles of support for the player on the ball. Have they got that player to the left? Have they got that player to the right? The numbers up situation allows them to see this, and then if they can split the defenders, can you play through into that midfield player or even further afield to the player furthest away to give yourself a really good opportunity to score. One of the big coaching points that I want to highlight in this type of practice is the use of body shape to disguise your intentions. As you can probably see from my shirt, I'm an Aston Villa supporter, and having watched us play against Arsenal at the weekend, one of the things I noticed from Tielemans in particular, though he wasn't the only one, is the way players would turn their bodies as though they were shaping to pass to one player. The defender would then move to block that pass, and they'd play a reverse pass in the gap where the defender had just moved from. And this practice allows players, younger players, to see the capabilities of that. Can they turn their body? Can they move the defenders, knowing that they've got a free player in the middle, and then play that pass against the flow of the defending player who's then moving? It's a really good little bit of disguise, really good disguise technique that players can use. Probably doesn't get coached enough, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but it's certainly something that I'd be looking at as a way to develop your players' skills. If you've enjoyed this practice or this series so far, then please subscribe to us so you can follow the rest of the series.